and getting off to a very strange start, dude. The NBA playoffs are here. By the time you guys watch this, everyone will have played one game. There's three more games that need to be played today that we won't be able to cover, but we'll give you an idea how it should or probably will go. You want to start in the West?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to pull this up right now. I mean, right now, as George and I are taping this, the fucking Spurs were destroying the Mavericks, and literally the Mavericks have gone on a run and have gone up at halftime 44-43. And I'm going to tell you what, they look fucking good. As we've been filming, I've been just kind of keeping an eye on it, and I'm like, man, the NBA playoffs are fucking crazy this year. It is.
Yeah, it's
so
going to
many
be weird,
things.
and that's your 1 versus 8 out in the West. You had Oklahoma City and Memphis play last night, and Memphis was down big at the half. They closed the gap within, I think, a couple points, and then Oklahoma City just put it on them. So I think I think Oklahoma City will sweep. If they lose anything, it'll be one game, and that'll push them into the second round. Your 3 versus 6, which I think is going to be the most exciting series of all the first-round matchups, which puts the Clippers versus Golden State, and that was a great back-and-forth battle yesterday.
It was, man, and you know what? I was kind of pulling for the Warriors, and George was probably pulling more for the Clippers because George loves to give me a hard time because he says
I
the
love
Clippers
to give you a hard time, but I honestly like to watch Steph Curry play. Steph Curry is so incredibly quick with everything he does.
And looks so much like my son. Everybody texts me that during the game or says that. I get that. Anytime that kid plays, I get all these people going, damn, he looks like Kyle. all the time, dude. Except Kyle don't have a jump shot. Yeah, but Kyle don't have a jump shot like him. But, Steph Curry is I like Mark Jackson as a coach. I like Steph Curry, and they've got a great thing out in Golden State, and they just play. This rivalry has grown so much over the last couple of years, and I tell you what, man, it probably will go 7 games, But there were some things that at least you said, and we'll go into this with the game yesterday with the officiating.
Oh, I don't think the NBA refs realized this was a playoff game. And to me, the fouls that were getting called in that Clipper game was just borderline atrocious. Like some of the things should just become. I'm like, come on, man. I was like, it was a little ticky tack at times. But the thing, I think the most impressive thing I saw out of the entire first round was Oklahoma City had 10 blocks. They had 8 at the half. Because what I'm potentially doing is looking at second round matchups, and Golden State. I don't think when you're bringing Jermaine O'Neal in to play in the post for you for Golden State, I don't think he's gonna do much versus Ibaka and who Oklahoma City's gonna have in the post. I don't see Golden State being much of a challenge for Oklahoma City.
I agree with you. I think if they do manage to get past the Clippers, I think that'll probably be it.
Yeah, but now the 4-5, which we haven't touched on, which will be played today on Sunday, is Houston and Portland. Houston's your 4, Portland's your 5. I think Houston should win this kind of going away. I don't think, at least that's what I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but
if Houston plays like they played the latter half of the season, then you know what, I agree with you. I think they could probably wrap it up in 5. If they don't, it could be a 7-game series. I mean, the Trailblazers are a good team when they play good. I could see them giving the fucking Rockets fits. But the Rockets did come on strong at the end of the year, and you saw a little bit more consistency in them. And, saw Dwight Howard putting up double-doubles and, James Harden fucking putting up points. So, I mean, if they continue to do that, then, yeah, I think that they, like you said, that they could wrap it up pretty quick. But if they go back to what they were doing mid-season and stuff like this could be a problem series for them.
So, with all that said, who do you have coming out of the West?
Well, out of the West right now, I really like the Thunder, especially what I'm seeing right now. The Spurs, I think, are really deep and they're complete, and I think they're the best coach team out of the West. But man, the Thunder, when they start getting at it and they get their confidence up, when those young guys get their confidence up, and the way that Kevin Durant has been playing as of late, I mean, they just seem like such a hard time team to beat,
I'm with you, and I'm gonna tell you what, the only person who can beat Oklahoma City is going to be Russell Westbrook. But I've said that about Oklahoma City. When he gets frustrated and he doesn't get in a groove and things don't come easy to him, he starts to throw a temper tantrum and he brings that entire team down. He does it time and time again, and as long as he doesn't get frustrated, this will be an easy sailing into the finals. And I'm picking the Thunder to go to the finals, but I think they're going to need him, and he needs to just dial it back a notch with the temper tantrums, and they'll be fine.
Yeah. Now with this said, it's funny how obviously we say in all sports styles make matchups and stuff like this. It's I don't know with the Thunder and the Spurs series. I do see them. I do anticipate those two teams meeting up in the finals. I think the Spurs are so used to adversity. I mean, they can struggle and they do things, but in the end, they're always there. Popovich always finds a way to get them. They're just the best team unit and stuff like this. I think they're that matchup, depending on how both of those teams go into the Western Conference Finals, if and when they both reach the finals, then it could be a 7-game series. I think that'll definitely be a 7-game series.
And trust me, being a Heat fan, I want Oklahoma to play. I want Oklahoma and San Antonio to play 7-game series the whole way.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, let's move our way back over to the East, where
the Pacers look horrible, dude.
The Pacers, and you know what? I gotta sit here and I gotta really stroke George's ego, man, because George said this at the beginning of the season, and he was like, "Oh, Kevin, I just do not see them holding this steam throughout the season." First of all, you kept focusing on their depth. You're like, they don't have enough depth. You felt like the addition of Andrew Bynum. You said, okay, you know what? I
never
feel like
even
that guy's
played a game.
Never, you felt like he didn't play, and I said, well, suppose he does perform, and you know what, George, you were right, because he ended up just folding up like he has typically done over the last 3 years and not contributing fucking one iota. So it's
and the pickup of Evan Turner from the Sixers has done nothing for them.
Done nothing for him, and now you find them in the first series losing at home against the Hawks, who were the fucking 8th seed, and
not just losing, dude. They lost by 11 points. I mean, I'm sorry, 8 points.
8 points, and it's not just what they did last night. It's what they've done the last month of the season. I mean, they're terrible. They have a losing record.
They got exploited. And Roy Hibbert said it. He's like, they're spreading it out. These big guys can shoot, and I can't do what I do. Which dude, I don't know if you saw the article, but there was an article that came out about a month or two ago, and they compared Kwame Brown's stats, who we all think is probably one of the biggest busts in NBA history, to Roy Hibbert's stats. Roy Hibbert statistically was better by less than a point in all, like, points, rebounds, minutes, all that stuff. He did not hold a significant advantage over Kwame Brown in any of them, and he's an all-star. Everyone's talking about how dominant Roy Hibbert is and how great he is. Yet, dude, he got exposed last night, and the Hawks Hibbert can't keep up. Hibbert can't get out on the perimeter and guard those big boys that Atlanta was shooting jumpers.
And it's funny because I always have wanted to pull for Hibbert since he went, the school down the street of Georgetown. But it was funny, like when he was in college this last year, a lot of the analysts thought, okay, he'll be a mid to whatever tier center in the NBA. Like, even though he was, he played with a great, team in Georgetown, and people thought that he would probably be just average in the NBA as a center. And then he got these other guys around him, like Paul George and then David West, who's probably the only person that you really can think that might step up, become a leader, because these young guys need somebody to get their confidence back up. That's the thing also that hurts the Pacers, is that they're young. Like, they don't have
let me ask you this. With a coach like Frank Vogel, who, let's face it, we've never heard of before he started coaching here.
No,
if the Indiana Pacers lose this first round matchup to the Atlanta Hawks, and right now they're in a hole because now they got to go to Atlanta, correct?
Yeah.
So you're down 1-0. You got to go to Atlanta. If they end up losing this first round series, who are you getting rid of? Is it going to be the coach, or are you going to start unloading some of these players? Because something's got to change.
I'm going to tell you what, the look on Larry Bird's face, he looks just so fucking frustrated and disappointed. Like, and Larry Bird seems like a no type of shit guy. Like, he's like, okay,
really?
you know
what? Think that?
Yeah. Like, I mean, he's the kind of guy,
Larry
like,
Bird takes shit from anybody?
Exactly. Nobody.
Clint Eastwood, John Wayne.
He really is. He's the kind of guy's like, I did it. I've done it. I've done it at every fucking level. I'm not going to stand for it. No fucking excuses. I think
he can sit for it. He can sit there in the stands with the rest of them sorry-ass Pacers and the rest of them sorry-ass Pacer fans and watch their team implode, because he did nothing over the last 2 months to make them better. He couldn't do anything from his GM spot, so maybe he's got to go.
Who, Bird?
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Something's
Bird,
gotta change.
man. I mean, so I think Bird is done well in Indiana. I mean, I think he's made them contenders. He's getting the talent there. I mean, look at Paul George. I mean, he's got, somewhere along the line when your team is able to do very well, and then all of a sudden your team starts to fall apart. I really think if you're doing well at the beginning of the season, then it shows that you have the talent and the ability to win. You know what I mean? And to go on these stretches where you know how to win 4, 5, 6, 7 games straight, and then you look at the GM. Okay, he's put those components there. He's put the talent there and everything. You got to look at the coach.
I think what they got to do is they need to ride and die with Paul George next year. If they do, like, what I mean by that is turn the reins over to Paul George. Let him know he's the superstar. The ball's going to run through you. I mean, look at OKC. Look at the Miami Heat. Look at Golden State. Those three teams, they all have their go-to guy. And I think right now in Indiana, at the beginning of the season, the entire media got down and sucked every ounce of sperm out of Paul George's balls and then spewed it all out and let us know how great he was. He's going to be the next LeBron. And what in the shit has he done? He hasn't taken over a game in the last 2 months. He hasn't put the team on his back. He's faded away with the rest of his team and back to with the rest of mediocrity. They're fine. Like, and here's the thing I love. Great. So next year or in this next game, you need to look at Paul George and be like, you're the superstar. It's your turn. It's your turn to step up. It's your turn to perform. If you can't do it, maybe you're not what the thing everyone told you were at the beginning of the season. And that's what's happening.
I think great coaches, too, find ways to keep their players motivated and get them out of a slump. The thing that I did not like, it's in Vogel, I'm not, after the game yesterday, they said, during the press conference, they asked him and said, what can you do to change the direction that this team's going on to get them up? And he's like, not, play ahead, get a lead,
Cocaine and hookers.
And he just, you could see that even his body language, he's deflated. Like, he doesn't have an answer.
Yeah, he doesn't. I think he's gone into his magic bag of tricks and pulled everything out, and he's realizing, I don't know.
You can't do that as a coach. To me, I mean, you have to say, hey, whatever. You got to be fired up and say, hey, you know what, my guys, we got to work through the kinks, whatever. But you've got to be upbeat. His whole body language is like a fucking basset hound, and that's what your players are seeing. And you're the guy that's supposed to be leading these guys, and you're the fucking basset hound. This shit's not fucking happening.
And Roy Hibbert has no problems after every game. Just put the steamrolling the team.
Yeah, now
Roy Hibbert. All I've seen is interviews these last 3 weeks of Roy Hibbert going, "We're not good." David West going, "We can't communicate." I don't understand what happened. First part of the season, you guys were on fire. You're world beaters. You got the number 1 seed. Here, you got the number 1 seed, and you shit away the first game to Atlanta. That's horrible. Yeah. Now, on to the team that's going to be in the Eastern Conference Final, the Miami Heat. Open up with the Charlotte Bobcats. I'm glad the Charlotte Bobcats had a great season. I'm glad they won more games than they did last year. Enjoy these next 4 games and then go home.
Right, pretty much. I mean, they ended up getting into the playoffs as a 7th seed. I just don't see them having anything for the Heat. Obviously everybody's a little rested. I don't think they're well rested, but I think this will be a 5-game series, and the Heat will move on. And not to cut the Heat short, but everybody knows that. The thing I think that's going to be interesting is who's going to face the Heat, or who has the opportunity to dethrone the Heat. And I think
it could be this next team, unfortunately.
It really could, and I think you're talking about the Brooklyn Nets, because at the beginning of the season, George, we were like, what the fuck is Jason Kidd doing up in Brooklyn? This is all these players, these future Hall of Famers, all this talent, and it's just not work. Huh?
I'm sorry, no, something slipped.
Oh, it's just not working, and all of a sudden it came together like the last couple of months of the season, and now Brooklyn is just like they seem like they're being even methodical. A lot of people claim that they were tanking the last few games so they could have a matchup with the Raptors as opposed to the Bulls, and you know what? Who knows? Maybe that was their method of thinking. Maybe that Jason Kidd can be kind of squirrely with his methods. I mean, he's spilled drinks on the court and done whatever he has to fucking get his team to where he wants to get them.
And they bullied Toronto. They bullied Toronto from the beginning to the end. Beat them by 7. I don't think Toronto's going to have much of an answer for Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn wins this one going away as well. And then this leads us to our hometown team with an unenviable task of playing Chicago in the first round. But the winner of this could literally be playing the 8 seed.
They really. I mean, this is the crazy thing is Chicago, the Wizards, and you know me, I was very high on the Wizards this year. I told people they make the playoffs. People were laughing at me. I won some good ass bets with that thing. Wall with the fucking, I'm going to pull this back out of my bag of tricks. Wall winning the slam dunk contest. I just really think that they have a lot of talent, and the thing that I think it's dangerous with the Wizards are they're young, they're fucking aggressive, and they run. And I thought, of all the teams they're facing, I thought that they did not match up good against the Bulls and the Raptors, because that's who they seem to struggle a little bit with during the season. The team that I thought that they had a great chance against is actually the Heat, because its styles make these matchups, and I'm thinking, the Heat is a little old, and fucking the Wizards, once they get running and they build up their confidence, they can fucking wear you down. You know what I mean?
And the thing that Chicago does at very few teams that are in the playoffs, I don't think there's another team in the playoffs that's going to run their offense through their center. And that's exactly what the Chicago Bulls do. The Bulls get the ball down to Noah, and then Noah has the options. He can either post you up, he can front you, or he can pass out of a double team, or just he's one of the best, if not the best, passing big man in the NBA right now. And that's what they're going to do. And right now in the East, Indiana has got the best low post presence to frustrate Joe Kim. Other than that, the Wizards don't have it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, it's. I don't know. I'm trying to find out what the. I know the Bulls are the favorite going in there, 4.5 favorite tonight. But I wanted to see what their record was against the Bulls during the regular season. I was curious to see that. I think they met 3 times, but I don't have that in front of me. But yeah, I agree with you, George. I mean, they just give them fits. I mean, if the Wizards can take a game in Chicago,
that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
I would love to see the Wizards come out and win tonight.
I would too. I like to see, if when I'm not pulling for the Lakers, obviously I'm pulling for the Wizards because they're the hometown team. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see them get through this series and get deeper into the playoffs. I think it would make for an exciting play. I would love to see them play the Heat.
So who do you got coming out of the East?
Huh?
Who you got coming out of the East?
I got the Heat coming out the East.
Yeah.
I think when it comes down to it, man, these guys, the season is long, but it's hard to me to see a team, as much as I like to see the Heat lose, because it's hard to see a team beating them 4 times. You know what I mean? And especially because the way the Pacers are playing, they probably will get eliminated. And the team that gave the Heat fits were the Pacers because of their presence inside, stuff like this. That team gets eliminated. Now the home court advantage goes to the Heat. So the pieces have fallen in place for the Heat. They have a first round matchup against Charlotte, who they probably can go through and be able to rest more. Like, it is looking good for the Heat, in my opinion. I mean,
the only thing I wish the NBA did is what hockey does. I wish they would reseed. I wish you would reseed, so when you hear these teams about tanking and looking, then it doesn't pay off. And you don't get a benefit for maybe resting your guys at the end and going, hey, if we lose these 4 games, then we'll play the Heat in the second round, as opposed to maybe the Pacers or the Bulls, or we don't have to play the Bulls in the first round, and then we don't have to play the Pacers in the second round. So
what do you mean by reset? I lost you a little bit. Like with the NBA
for instance,
format.
What I mean, like in hockey, what happens is the highest seed will always play the lowest seed no matter what. So in other words,
even
like
when
for
they
instance,
advance.
Right, so if let's say the Heat advance, they're the 2, and Atlanta plays, they're the 8. So instead of the 8 playing the winner of Chicago and Washington, they'd immediately have to play Miami.
Right.
Reseed. Right. What's the benefit? I mean, I don't see the point, because after the first round, your ranking means diddly do.
Yeah, that's the one thing I didn't like about that. Yeah, and it basically the ranking. Yeah, I mean, who does it have it going in the second round based on if the Heat win?
The Heat would have to play the winner of Brooklyn and Toronto.
The Heat have to play the winner of Brooklyn and Toronto?
Yeah, so they're going to end up playing Brooklyn.
They're going to play in Brooklyn, yeah. And I'm going to tell you what, and then on the other side, I mean, on the lower, it's the Wizards, the winner of the Wizards, Chicago plays the winner of the Pacers, Toronto, right?
Pacers and Atlanta.
I mean, Atlanta. Yeah. Atlanta's another team that gave the Wizards fits. I tell you what, man, if the Wizards, the Wizards, the way they've come on at the end of the season, they have a shot. They have a shot of getting to the finals. The way the seeding is, Think about it. If Atlanta is the damn 8 seed, if they beat the Pacers and the Wizards gets past the Bulls, then the Wizards are playing the 8 seed.
Exactly. That's what I said early when I.
Yeah. Well, I know.
So
but
okay.
I'm just focusing on the Wizards.
We're just repeating things. That's what we're done. We've run out of so many things to talk about. We're just going to repeat what we said earlier.
Anyway,
now, one more question before we end this. Who killed Prince Joffrey?
What?
Who killed Prince Joffrey?
I don't know, dude. That shit is crazy. Maybe we'll find out tonight. That shit was fucking unbelievable. I didn't expect it, and I hope we didn't fucking ruin it for anybody out there who isn't caught up. But wow, that shit fucking threw me for a loop.
Fuck that. This has been more. If you're watching our show and you haven't caught up with that, stop watching our show. Go watch that.
Yeah, it is. It was great. I mean, my girlfriend was like, she was fucking. Sometimes she talks about how the show has a lot of gore and blood and stuff like this. It was so graphic when he was dying, and she was fucking happy as shit running around the room.
I think everyone in America threw their hands up and danced a jig. I did. Dick out and everything.
They really does, and what they did was they really made him really be an asshole that episode.
Oh, they made him so hateable. They did such a great job. I think that's what we should cover on the next UnCut Sports Show, just Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and it was funny and they set it up perfect because as he was acting like an asshole, you could see everybody how they despised him, and you're thinking it could come from anywhere. Anywhere. And,
so,
this is the thing.
With that said, because we'll sit here and talk about this for the next hour, and then you'll be real mad editing this.
Mm-hmm. You said what?
I said, with that said, we should probably end the show because you're going to end up editing this till Thursday.
Oh, yeah, you're right about that, dude. So, anyway, guys, we're out of here. George, I'll catch up with your ass later, man.